AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
Beautiful Anonymous changes each week. It defies genres and expectations. For example, our most recent episode, I talked to a woman who survived a murder attempt by her own son. But just the week before that, we just talked the whole time about Star Trek. We've had other recent episodes about sexting in languages that are not your first language, or what it's like to get weight loss surgery. It's unpredictable, it's real, it's honest, it's raw. Get Beautiful Anonymous wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey listeners, this is Peter, and welcome back to the History Shorts podcast. This humble show is brought to you by the Podcast Republic, your ultimate listening app. Discover and subscribe to thousands of podcasts from around the globe, yours truly included, all in one place. Download Podcast Republic now, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store. Today, on History Shorts. It is 1805. The French army marches across Europe, banners flying, cannons thundering, and generals executing maneuvers with precision that astonishes friends and foe alike. At the center of this spectacle stands a man of semi-small stature, but enormous ambition, Napoleon Bonaparte. He has risen from a relatively obscure Corsican officer to become Emperor of the French, conquering kingdoms, reshaping borders, and inspiring awe and fear across the continent. Napoleon's legacy is one of contradictions. To some, he is the ultimate military genius, a visionary who spread revolutionary principles, modernized governments, and rewrote the laws of Europe. To others, he is a tyrant, whose ambition led to millions of deaths, widespread suffering, and the suppression of liberty in the very nations he claimed to liberate. Today on this episode of the History Shorts new series, You Decide, we examine both perspectives, exploring the man, his wars, and the enduring debate. Was Napoleon a brilliant strategist and reformer, or a ruthless despot?
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Napoleon Bonaparte was born in 1769 on the island of Corsica, just months after it had been annexed by the French. He was raised in a modest noble family, educated in mainland France, and trained in military strategy at the Royal Artillery School. The French Revolution, beginning in 1789, created opportunities for young officers like Napoleon to rise rapidly through the ranks. As the old aristocracy was being purged and talent became a more significant factor than birth. By the late 1790s, Napoleon had distinguished himself in campaigns in Italy and Egypt, earning a reputation for bold strategy and innovative tactics. His successes in Italy against the Austrian forces demonstrated his ability to combine rapid movement, concentrated firepower, and psychological warfare. In 1799, he returned to France and seized power in a coup d'etat, establishing the consulate, and later crowning himself emperor in 1804. Europe was fragmented politically, with monarchies vying for dominance. The Napoleonic Wars between 1803 and 1815 would see Napoleon confront coalitions of Britain, Austria, Prussia, and Russia in a series of campaigns that transformed the continent. His legal, administrative, and educational reforms, codified in the Napoleonic Code, were aimed at consolidating French revolutionary gains and creating a more meritocracy-like society. Yet these reforms came at the cost of widespread warfare, authoritarian governance, and the curtailment of certain freedoms, such as the press censorship and political dissent. This duality forms the core of today's debate over Napoleon's legacy. As is always the case in these episodes, I will present two sides. I will simply refer to them as Side A and Side B. Side A today will argue that Napoleon was a military genius and reformer. Side B will take a different stance, arguing that he was more than anything, a tyrant. So let us begin with Side A. Side A argues that Napoleon was a military genius and visionary reformer who fundamentally changed Europe for the better. His campaigns demonstrated unprecedented strategic brilliance. At the Battle of Austerlitz in 1805, often cited as his masterpiece, Napoleon defeated the combined armies of Russia and Austria, despite being numerically inferior. His ability to feign weakness, divide enemy forces, and exploit terrain exemplifies his tactical innovation. Military historians often cite Austerlitz as the pinnacle of Napoleonic strategy, a textbook example still studied in war colleges today. Beyond battlefield success, Napoleon was an innovator in military organization. He reorganized the French army into corps capable of independent operation, each with its own artillery, infantry, and cavalry. This system allowed rapid maneuvering and flexibility, giving French forces a decisive edge. Logistics and supply chains were meticulously managed under his supervision, ensuring that his armies would move swiftly across hundreds of miles, something unprecedented at the time. Napoleon's genius was not limited to warfare, however. His domestic reforms fundamentally modernized French society. The Napoleonic Code of 1804 standardized laws, protected property rights, and created a framework of civil equality for men under the law. The code abolished feudal privileges, ensured merit-based appointments in government and the military, and laid the foundation for modern legal systems in Europe and beyond. In education, he established schools to train a new professional and administrative class, prompting social mobility based on talent rather than birth. Napoleon also exported revolutionary principles abroad. In territories that he conquered, Italy, the Rhineland, and the Netherlands, he introduced administrative and legal reforms that abolished feudalism, modernized taxation, and rationalized governance. Even in opposition, many contemporaries noted the improvements he brought to infrastructure, education, as well as justice. William Seaborn, a British military historian, wrote that Napoleon's campaigns demonstrated an art of war that combined courage, speed, and imagination that was unparalleled in modern history. Proponents argue that Napoleon's achievements reflect visionary leadership, not merely personal ambition. He maintained order in post-revolutionary France, stabilized the economy, reformed the bureaucracy, and spread ideas of meritocracy. This side A emphasizes that while his wars were costly, his strategic brilliance and reforms left a lasting impact, creating a Europe shaped not only by conflict, but by modernization and rational governance. Now, if we flip that coin and look at side B, this side argues that Napoleon was a tyrant whose ambition caused mass suffering across Europe. His military campaigns, while brilliant, were extraordinarily costly in human terms. Estimates suggest that the Napoleonic Wars resulted in over 3 million military deaths and countless civilian casualties, especially as armies swept across Spain, Russia, Germany, and Italy. The Russian campaign of 1812, culminating in the disastrous retreat from Moscow, alone saw hundreds of thousands of soldiers die from battle, starvation, and exposure. Napoleon's ambition extended beyond defensive or revolutionary aims. His conquests of Italy, Spain, and much of Germany were often motivated by personal and dynastic gain, not simply the spread of revolutionary ideas. Satellite states were ruled by family members, Joseph Bonaparte in Naples and Spain, and Louis Bonaparte in Holland, demonstrating dynastic ambition and autocratic control. Opposition and dissent in occupied territories were brutally suppressed, often through censorship, imprisonment, or even execution. Critics point to tyrannical governance in France itself as well. Despite stabilizing the post-revolutionary state, Napoleon curtailed freedoms. Namely, the press was censored, political opposition eliminated, and a secret police enforced loyalty. He crowned himself emperor in 1804, symbolically rejecting the church's authority and asserting personal dominance. While he claimed to be a revolutionary reformer, he concentrated power in his own hands, undermining republican ideals of the French Revolution. Warfare under Napoleon also caused widespread civilian suffering. In Spain, the Peninsular War between 1808 and 1814 led to brutal guerrilla fighting, massacres, and the destruction of towns. Chroniclers describe scorched earth tactics, mass executions, and famine affecting non-combatants. Even in supposedly liberated territories, forced conscription and economic exploitation created hardship for local population. Napoleon's ambition ultimately destabilized Europe. Coalitions against France formed repeatedly, creating decades of war, destruction, and political upheaval. His defeat at Waterloo in 1815 marked the end of an era, but the consequences of his campaigns, namely ruined economies, devastated populations, and the shifting borders, were left for generations. And thus, Side B emphasizes that genius does not absolve tyranny. While Napoleon displayed brilliance, his methods imposed immense human and social costs, making him as much a despot as a reformer. So, in reflection, Napoleon Bonaparte's legacy is obviously profoundly complex. Side A emphasized the brilliance of his military strategies, the codification of law, administrative reform, and the modernization of Europe. His campaigns demonstrated unprecedented strategic vision and left enduring institutional achievements. Side B highlights the human cost of it all: authoritarian governance, dynastic ambition, and aggressive expansion that accomplished his genius. The question for us is not simply whether Napoleon was good or bad, but how vision, ambition, and morality intersected in history. Was he a transformative leader who spread order and rational governance, or a ruthless tyrant whose brilliance exacted a staggering human toll? That's up to you to decide. As is always the case, this episode only scratched the surface of the issue, and there is a plethora of sources available for further analysis and evaluation. Treat it more as an inspiration to go and dig deeper. For some further exploration, I suggest Napoleon: A Life by Andrew Roberts from 2014 and Napoleon Bonaparte by J.M. Thompson, published in 1988. Now, for the good of the order, this upcoming Friday's Conversation series guest is William Dalrymple. We talk about his latest book, The Golden Road: How Ancient India Transformed the World. Hopefully, today's episode has inspired you to seek out and learn more about this subject. For answers to questions, to leave a comment, or check out upcoming guest announcements, visit www.historyshortspodcast.com or look for History Shorts on Facebook and X. Stay curious, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.